I'm here now with the Vancouver Courier's news reporter, Mike Howell, who brings us this week two interesting stories about two different men. Mike, can you tell us about John Salalar and why he was important to this city?
Yeah, John Salalar was a 46-year-old man who stowed away from Liberia back in 1992. He ended up in India and then on another ship that brought him to Halifax. He applied for refugee status, but that was rejected, and the Canada Border Services Agency ordered him, or he was ordered deported in 1995. But he managed to survive on the streets at friends' houses until just this month, July 12th, at 46 years old. He suffered a massive stroke, collapsed, and died. It's truly a sad story.
Some people called him a Robin Hood. What did he do to earn that nickname?
Some people call him a Robin Hood, but I wouldn't say the story is so much about a Robin Hood. It was about a guy who struggled from the day he got off the ship. He did steal from stores, and he did give meat, food, and clothes to certain people. But I think this story was more about a stowaway's kind of short, brutal life in Vancouver. And the documents that I obtained showed that he didn't really get the help that he needed. He had a problem with alcohol. He couldn't speak the language. He was assessed with a grade 3 education. He couldn't read or write in any language. And as a result, he self-medicated himself. One point I forgot to mention is that when he was 12 years old, he told immigration officials that his parents were murdered in the Liberian Civil War. And a clinical psychologist said that he was suffering from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, and so he self-medicated with alcohol.
Was this ever a person who found some support during his life in terms of finding housing or mental health support?
The documents don't point to that. There were several people I talked along the way, tried to help him, but they were frustrated that they couldn't get him the help that he needed. And so it's not clear. There was some probation there where he was off the alcohol for a while, but it just seemed like he was on a downward path since he arrived here, which is unfortunate.
Who were some of the people who came to his service?
Some of the people who came to his service included many members of the African Canadian community. These are a lot of African men and women who have come to Canada and have fortunately had better lives than John did. He also had another group of friends in the downtown east side who knew him as Moody. That was his nickname. He had several aliases. So he had quite a wide circle of friends, judging by the people who showed up at the mosque in Richmond and at a ceremony to remember him in the downtown east side.
The other story that you were working on, an extensive feature and video that you brought us this week, is on Raymond Salmon, who is also presumed dead. What happened to him?
Raymond Salmon is a 66-year-old outdoorsman from Kitsilano. He likes to go up in the bush. He likes to go fishing, hunting, camping. This is something he does quite often. So he went up to Harrison Lake, which is near Agassiz, on the 27th of May. And on the 9th of June, he was reported missing, and after a massive search by police, they were able to piece enough together to strongly believe that he drowned in the lake while trying to get back to his campsite.
And the police say this, they believe he's presumed drowned, but his wife hasn't stopped looking for his body. What has she done?
Yeah, there's a real concern by his wife that she is supposed to be in a grieving process right now, just assuming what the police have told her, that he drowned. But because they haven't recovered his body, the police told her that they are limited in their capacity to dive below a certain surface. They don't have the proper training, proper equipment. Search and rescue services have given her the same answer. So by searching on the internet, she came across this retired couple in their 60s from Idaho, and they are experts at recovering bodies in deep water. In fact, they've recovered close to 90 bodies in North America in 13 years. So she hired them. They're an amazing couple. They only charge expenses. They came up, and for about a day and a half, they were in the lake, but unfortunately they didn't recover Mr. Salmon's body. The terrain up there of the lake is much what you see underneath the lake as well. It's very, a lot of debris, craggy rocks, making it very difficult to search in that area.
You went up there and you met Mrs. Salmon. What was her emotional state?
You know, she's an amazing woman too. She's really kept it together. Surprisingly, I mean, I don't see her in her private moments, obviously, but she contacted David Eby, the NDP MLA for Vancouver Point Grey. He brought that up in the legislature. She hasn't had much time to really just sit and collect her thoughts. She's been very busy, as I say, trying to find somebody or some service that can actually recover her husband's body. And as she told me, the BC government should be embarrassed that we have to hire a retired couple from Idaho to come up here in their Winnebago and small boat to look for bodies in British Columbia. She is concerned that the government is not showing leadership and that she's not organizing, or the Attorney General is not organizing all these different agencies together to come up with a solution. Because I understand some of the equipment, BC Hydro has what they call a remote operated vehicle, which is like an underwater robot, and that can be used, but so there's some concern that it's not being used to recover bodies.
In your experience, is there more that the different levels of government can be doing for her?
That's not clear, but David Eby will tell you that yes, the government can sit down, roll up its sleeves, and get all these different agencies together and look at what equipment is available in British Columbia, and then come up with a system or a protocol where when someone does go missing in a lake and they're not recovered by an RCMP dive team, who I understand can only go to depths of 130 feet, then there is some sort of system in place where you can send a team, expert team out there to recover bodies in lakes in BC waters.
A couple sad tales this week.
Yes, very sad tales, but I think in the one story about John Salalar kind of shines the light on our system of immigration here in Canada, and the second one kind of shines the light on what people have to go through when they lose a loved one, and there's no system in place for them to get closure, and that's what Mrs. Salmon is trying to seek right now.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
感谢收看今天的大温故事，我们下期再见。